Imagine this. Two of the most powerful forces in the ancient world are locked in a battle for supremacy, fighting on land and sea in a clash that would change history forever. For 23 years, Rome and Carthage fought with everything they had, inventing new strategies, building massive fleets, and enduring endless battles. Welcome to the First Punic War, the war that shaped the future of the Mediterranean. Let's rewind to 264 BCE. The Mediterranean was the center of the ancient world. Whoever controlled its waters controlled trade, wealth, and power. On one side of this rivalry was Rome, a growing republic in Italy with an unstoppable army. On the other side was Carthage, a rich city state on the North African coast whose navy ruled the waves. At first glance, these two powers couldn't have been more different. Rome was a land based power with disciplined armies and an obsession with expanding its borders. Carthage, on the other hand, was a seafaring empire. Its massive fleet protected its trade routes and brought wealth from across the Mediterranean. The conflict began over a seemingly small issue: control of the island of Sicily. This strategic island was the perfect staging ground for controlling trade between Europe and Africa. Both Rome and Carthage wanted it, and neither side was willing to back down. What started as a small conflict on Sicily quickly escalated into one of the longest and most grueling wars in history. The main case: Rome. The Roman Republic was a powerhouse on land. Its legions were made up of citizens who trained to fight with precision and discipline. But while their soldiers were second to none, Rome had a major weakness. It didn't have a navy. They relied on their allies for seafaring, and compared to Carthage, they were amateurs at naval warfare. Carthage. Carthage, on the other hand, was a maritime superpower. The quinqueremes, warships with 5 rows of oars, dominated the seas. Carthage had years of experience as traders and sailors, and their wealth allowed them to hire mercenaries to fight on land. However, their government wasn't as unified as Rome's, which often led to disagreements during wartime. Rome's strength was in its relentless determination. Carthage's strength lay in its mastery of the sea. These differences would define the First Punic War. Key events and battles that took place in the First Punic War. The Siege of Messana. The war's origins trace back to the Sicilian time of Messana. This small but strategically located city became the focal point of a bitter rivalry. Messana sat at the northeastern tip of Sicily, controlling a narrow strait that was vital for trade and military movements. At the time, Messana was under the control of a group of mercenaries called the Mamertines. These men were former soldiers who had taken over the city and ruled it with force. However, their power was under threat from two sides. The Greek city-state of Syracuse, led by King Hiero II, wanted to capture Messana and bring it under their control. At the same time, Carthage saw an opportunity to expand its influence and protect its trade routes by taking Messana. Feeling trapped, the Mamertines reached out to both Rome and Carthage for help. This decision was like poking a hornet's nest. Carthage was quick to find forces to Messana, establishing a garrison in the city. Rome, on the other hand, hesitated. Some Roman leaders didn't want to get involved in a conflict so far from home, especially since it could mean war with Carthage. However, Rome eventually decided to act. The fear that allowing Carthage to control Messana would give them too much power in Sicily and threaten Rome's growing influence in southern Italy. Roman troops crossed the sea and entered Messana, forcing the Carthaginian garrison to withdraw. This move infuriated Carthage, and they quickly declared war. The siege of Messana marked the start of open hostilities between Rome and Carthage, dragging both powers into a larger conflict. What began as a local dispute over a small city would soon become a full-scale war, including thousands of sailors and soldiers. When the war began, Rome was at significant disadvantage. The legions were unmatched on land, but the Mediterranean was Carthage's territory. The Carthaginian navy roamed the seas, and without a fleet, Rome could not effectively challenge them. But the Romans weren't the type to give up easily. They decided to build a navy from scratch. a daring and ambitious move. To speed up the process, they captured a Carthaginian quinquereme that had run aground and used it as a blueprint. This ship, with its rows of oars, was the backbone of Carthage's navy, and Rome planned to use it against them. Building the ships was only half the battle. The Romans now faced another challenge. They didn't know how to sail. To train their crews, they practiced rowing on dry land using mock ships set up on the shore. This gave the rowers and marines a basic understanding of how to work together. The Romans also added their own innovation, the corvus or crow. This was a girding plank with a large spike on the end. During a battle, the corvus could be swung onto an enemy ship where it would latch on like a giant claw. Battle of Mylae. With their newly built navy, Rome faced its first major test at the Battle of Mylae. This battle took place off the northern coast of Sicily and was a defining moment in the war. The Carthaginian fleet, confident in their naval superiority, approached Mylae expecting an easy victory. They had over 100 warships compared to Rome's fleet of about the same size, but they underestimated Rome's determination and ingenuity. As the battle began, the Romans used their corvus to devastating effect. When the Carthaginian ships tried to ram them, the Romans dropped the corvus onto the army decks, turning the sea into a chaotic battlefield. Carthaginian sailors used to quick naval engagements found themselves outmatched in close combat by Roman soldiers. Rome's commander Gaius Julius led the fleet with courage and skill. Under his leadership, the Romans captured or sank over 50 Carthaginian ships, a staggering victory for a navy that hadn't existed just a few years earlier. The Battle of Mylae was a turning point. It proved that Rome could challenge Carthage at sea and boosted Roman morale. Julius was awarded a triumph, and a column decorated with the bronze rams of captured Carthaginian ships was erected in his honor. The invasion of Africa. After their successes in Sicily, Rome decided to strike directly at the heart of Carthage. The plan was bold: launch an invasion of North Africa to force Carthage into surrender. In 256 BCE, a massive Roman fleet set sail, carrying tens of thousands of soldiers under the command of Marcus Atilius Regulus. After a dramatic naval victory at Cape Economus, one of the biggest sea battles in history, the Romans landed on the shores of North Africa. At first, the invasion went well. The Roman legions defeated Carthaginian forces in a series of battles and advanced towards Carthage itself. The Carthaginians were caught off guard and desperate to stop the Romans. But Rome's luck didn't last. The Carthaginians hired Xanthippus, a skilled Greek mercenary commander, to reorganize their army. Xanthippus brought discipline and strategy to the Carthaginian forces, and he knew exactly how to exploit Rome's weaknesses. In 255 BCE, the two sides clashed in a decisive battle. Xanthippus used war elephants to break the Roman lines and cavalry to outflank their forces. The Roman army was crushed, with thousands killed or captured. Regulus himself was taken prisoner and later died in captivity, becoming a symbol of Roman heroism and sacrifice. The invasion of Africa was a costly failure for Rome, but it didn't break their spirit. They regrouped and continued the fight in Sicily, determined to achieve victory. The Battle of Aegates Islands, 241 BCE. After years of brutal fighting, the war finally came to a climactic end at the Aegates Islands. Rome, having rebuilt its navy yet again, launched a surprise attack on the Carthaginian fleet. Despite being outnumbered, the Roman ships were lighter and faster, allowing them to outmaneuver the Carthaginians. Rome's victory at sea forced Carthage to surrender. After 23 years of war, Rome emerged as the new dominant power in the Western Mediterranean. The First Punic War was a turning point in history. For Rome, this was the first step in Rome's transformation from a regional power to a global empire. By winning Sicily, they gained their first province outside Italy. More importantly, they proved they could adapt to new challenges like naval warfare. For Carthage, the war was a devastating blow. They lost control of Sicily, their navy was severely weakened, and they were forced to pay a massive indemnity to Rome. However, Carthage wasn't finished yet. This defeat planted the seeds for the Second Punic War, where they would seek revenge under the leadership of the brilliant general Hannibal. The First Punic War taught the world several lessons. Adaptability wins wars. Rome's ability to build a navy from scratch and innovate with the corvus was a game changer. War has a heavy price. The war was one of the costliest in ancient history. Thousands of lives were lost, cities were destroyed, and entire economies were drained. It was a stark reminder of the human and financial toll of prolonged conflict. Rivalries shape history. The rivalry between Rome and Carthage didn't end with the First Punic War. It set the stage for even greater conflicts, including Hannibal's legendary campaign during the Second Punic War. This war marked the beginning of Rome's rise as a superpower. It showed the importance of perseverance, innovation, and strategic thinking, qualities that are still valuable today. The conflict also highlights the dangers of unending rivalries and the cost of war, lessons that resonate even in modern times. Most importantly, the First Punic War reminds us of the resilience of the human spirit. Both Rome and Carthage faced incredible challenges, but they kept fighting for what they believed in. This story inspires us to stay determined no matter the odds. The First Punic War was just the opening act in a much larger drama. The rivalry between Rome and Carthage would continue to shape the ancient world, leading to epic stories of heroism, strategy, and survival. And who knows, perhaps this tale of resilience and rivalry will inspire you to face your own challenges with the same determination that Rome and Carthage showed up so long ago. Stay curious and remember, history isn't just about the past, it's a guide for the future.